August 10th, Chapter 7, The Best and Worst. Extreme tragedy is often followed by extreme love, extreme forgiveness, and an emotional reset on what's important. When death strikes a family without warning, what's important becomes instantly clear. The best part of my family and friends became present all around me. When Mason died, conflict, political differences, religious differences, and pain from the past went away and was replaced with forgiveness, compassion, and unconditional love. In an instant, everyone was on the same team. People were drawn to whoever needed help. Comfort was given where it was needed, and there was a community of service that overtook everyone in my life. Mason's death created a snapshot of how a family should operate. I wonder what it would look like if people treated each other that way all the time. If every morning a family woke up, talked about their feelings, their emotions, asked each other who is struggling and how they could help, and then instantly went into action. I'm currently on a business trip, and one of the sales reps I was talking to was telling me a story about a family member that almost lost his life. He shared how difficult the experience was, but because of the way the family came together to deal with it, it positively changed the family. The worst things often give us a new perspective on what is a big deal and what is not. I told him we are not promised a single day, and being lazy in the relationships that matter the most will always be a regret you carry. He told me that he admired the way I handled stressful situations. He said, "You're always so relaxed about everything." I reminded him that I had lost a son a few years ago, and that was the worst thing. It was a really big deal, and it was really difficult, and it was the hardest situation I've ever been through. It changed what a big deal or a stressful situation looked like to me. Extreme emotions or situations of any kind bring out both the best and the worst in people. When Mason passed, I used the energy from his death for the extremes on both sides. I was pouring hope and love into others while also attacking some of my own family. The reality is I became a victim for a period of time and used the excuse of tragedy to explain the worst parts of myself that had emerged. Fortunately, I'm surrounded on both sides of my family by people who have dealt with extreme loss and extreme success and have navigated it well. My father and his two brothers lost their mother when they were young. The details of their childhood aren't as important as recognizing the fact that they were less than ideal. I don't believe anyone would plan for a childhood that they had. I've never heard my dad complain about his life or anything for that matter. I don't believe I've ever heard my father use an excuse for anything. One day, I met with my father-in-law, Bobby. I was in a manic, angry state of mind. It was around 30 days after Mason had passed. The COVID argument and the political fighting was at its high point. I chose to draw a line in the sand, and anyone that didn't completely agree with my point of view, I attacked. Here I was, someone who professed love, compassion, kindness, and encouraged people to live a life that mirrors the Savior himself. But instead of doing that, I let anger and pain win. The things I was planning on saying and doing could have permanently damaged the relationship with some of my closest family. But Bobby talked me through situations he had been through in his life and was able to expose to me the worst parts that were surfacing. I'll never forget the breakfast we had that morning at a small diner in Meridian. The best part of Bobby came and rescued me from the worst part of myself. What an incredible blessing he is. Back to my father. It had been a year and a half since Mason had passed, and I was stuck in a pretty bad place, not able to function most days. I very rarely left the house. Because of the stress and who knows what else, my eyes were open wounds that made me look like a zombie. The circles completely encompassed them, and a clear liquid would run out of the skin, and then it would scab over. The same thing started happening all around my mouth. I had another excuse to not re-engage, to not be seen, to disappear. I had 5 other children, grandchildren, and a wife to take care of, and they deserved the best part of me. My father invited me into his garage. The words that were spoken are sacred, and I believe they were directed from above, exactly what I needed to hear from my earthly father. He reminded me who I was. He reminded me of the family that I still had, and the commitment to take care of them. He reminded me that sometimes life is terrible, but we have a choice to overcome the obstacles that are put in front of us and to be an example to others, to have a testimony that one can be proud of. He reminded me that I am Michael Evans, Son of God, and the victory has already been won.